of notes.
Good luck.
I didn't read and I timed it this morning twice, and one time it was 14 minutes, then it was 15 minutes.
Okay, it's good though, study's done. He's about to be real good today. Jesus, I'm excited.
Good catch.
Really, I can.
Powerhouse.
Jesus. That's literally not my fault.
Really squishy. So very sweet.
Oh, Johnny, come on, show me present.
See, none of them care.
Pick me on time and studious.
Being on time maybe studious.
Usually not so.
No, nobody's listening.
We are 2 minutes early. Impressive.
Emerson's here, wow.
We're on time.
Emerson's here and on time, guys.
I saw this. Probably scared from football. Who's the hardest hitting that one? Maybe south of Party Coffee Farms every day. There's like this Instagram about like the hardest one hits on that one. And then someone asks who's the hardest hitting one of the past decades. So it does.
Snazzy. My favorite one was his dog though.
He left me that back. Yeah, like for good.
He's here the rest of the year, right?
He's not going to come back for this. Good. He's just not going to school. And then next year's bring a lot more.
He's his credits? He's the most school in school is technique is everything for me going out. He doesn't like me sometimes. He's like,
Wait, who else is?
so scary.
That's not
But yeah, I double you guys. Like, if they combine every time, that's why then. Really? Yeah. There's just 6 babies. Oh, you did? You did it?
I don't think it doesn't matter. I don't like people
Are you nervous? Now that you're here, yes.
Oh, yeah. Are we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys get the itinerary? You guys get the itinerary?
Yeah, we're trying to actually make some but like, I
James.
And then
This week's good too.
I just think that's. But you're the one like.
What if we can?
Alright, Nico's here. Lisa's here. Vector.
Emerson asked
Anybody? Okay, Aiden. And I saw Cahill. No, Cahill. Haley. Tessa. Emerson.
Here.
Anna.
Sweating.
Lily. Mohammed. Dan. Dylan. Una. Good morning, Una Lacey. Mia. Margot. Key West. Jordan. Lucy. Brianna. Josie. Andy's Andy.
Please, I'm Mohammed.
Andy's Andy. Okay, no. Who's up first?
Thank you.
You want the presenter view?
Just one more.
All right, Emerson Flores, ladies and gentlemen, here he is.
Good morning. As you guys know, I'm Emerson Flores. And for my senior project, I did about the economics in the Hawaiian Islands. So here's a table of contents, basically organizing my presentation. So first, I have my junior project recap. Then I'm going to talk about my first strand, lack of tourism. My second strand, unemployment. My third strand, inflation. Then I'm going to deep into my internship I did and talk about my future plans. So my junior project, I basically learned the effects of tourism on businesses in Hawaii. Our state heavily relies on tourism as tourists spent nearly $48.6 million a day in 2019. As you guys can see, that's a very big number that tourists spend in our economy. Many industries benefit from tourism, such as hospitality, food and beverage, and recreation. Last year, I talked about how when tourists come, they need places to stay. So this is where hospitality comes into place. They obviously got to eat, so this is where food and beverage comes. And when they're here, they got things to do, so this is where recreation comes. So I overall learned that businesses can have a bigger impact on our economy by targeting tourists. And this is where I came up with my driving question that says, what are the effects of COVID-19 on our economy in Hawaii? So my first strand, lack of tourism. I wanted to share this quote with you guys that says, international tourist arrivals declined globally by 73% in 2020, with 1 billion fewer travelers compared to 2019. So last year, or previously, I mentioned how many tourists spent interstate. So if you can tell by the number of the decrease of tourism, obviously our economy is going to lose money. So when COVID occurred, our government had a shutdown of airports, beaches, hotels, restaurants. As I mentioned previously, when all these industries that benefit from tourism, they're all shut down. And also our government shut off countries that visited Hawaii. My second strand, unemployment. So does anyone know how many jobs were lost due to COVID? Yep, as you guys can tell, that big number right there, 144 million, that's the amount of jobs that were lost due to COVID in the world. So unemployment rates, so for before COVID, it was 2%. During COVID, it raised up to 40%. So the two effects of unemployment were loss of jobs and increase in population. So many low and middle class people that worked in industries that relied on tourism, they all lost their jobs and they really had no place to work with all these tourists gone. And with that, there was also an increase of population because those who are wealthy realized they can move to Hawaii and work remotely. So it led to a population of Hawaii increasing, which led to decreasing rental properties available. Last, I'm going to talk about inflation. So, does anyone remember when COVID occurred and we all got free money, basically? The stimulus checks and unemployment money. So, the government gave out stimulus checks, right? So, while we thought it was free money, the economy basically just absorbed this money and it increased prices of products and goods. And now, costs never returned to original price. As you can see, gas went down a little bit, but it's pretty high still. So I did my internship with Jim Belzic. Just like last year, I interned with him for my junior project. I went to him because he's a successful businessman. We just met weekly and we discussed what economics and we did training on governmental theories. So going back to my driving question, what are the effects of COVID-19 on our economy in Hawaii? My answer is, with the lack of tourism from COVID-19, it led to unemployment, which caused inflation. So my future plans, I plan to attend Northern Arizona University and major in finance. Thank you.
All right, on everybody.
Wait, hold on. How do I do this instead of
It's my.
What do you want to do? You want to see your speaker now?
Yeah.
Did you do this?
Oh my gosh, don't look at that. Don't look at that. I was just messing with it.
Don't look at what?
I was just messing with it. What?
Not mirror.
Yeah. So you have to whoever it is. No, it's just like
Oh.
or extension.
Oh, like that.
Break out the little arrow. And you have to bring that over here.
This one?
Yes.
Then you hit that. This. Double click on the top.
What? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Anna, everyone.
Okay, good morning. I did my senior project on athletic training and physical therapy. Athletic trainers and physical therapists are incredibly similar when it comes to knowledge and practices when helping patients. However, they're still different in their ideologies and certifications. That's a separate career title name. So I'll be going over my junior project my internship this year and the interview this year, my research paper and comparison, and my future plans. So last year I did my internship with Miss Fig, and basically I focused on a specific body part, which was the ulnar collateral ligament, or the UCL. I researched and created my own rehabilitation process post-surgery. This year I focused on daily routine of an athletic trainer, while also comparing it to other health professions such as a physical therapist. And I also interviewed a physical therapist, Dominic Lucia. So this led me to my driving question, which was, what are the ways in which athletic training and physical therapy ideologies and education vary, and how are they equivalent? So for my research paper, I had 3 strands. The first one is athletic training, second is physical therapy, and the third is comparison. In both athletic training and physical therapy, I dug deeper into what is athletic training, education overview, and acquiring certification. In physical therapy, I dug deeper in what is physical therapy, education overview, and acquiring your license. So athletic trainers have advanced degrees in medicine. AT professions include prevention, examination, diagnosis, rehabilitation, and education. Athletic trainers specialize in injury and re-injury avoidance. Athletic trainers also use braces as well as performing tasks and reports and instruction in a timely manner. ATs can help patients have fewer injuries, quicker recovery times, and overall lower medical expenses. So thank you, Ms. Fig. Just like every other healthcare provider requires a level of education. Currently, the minimum professional degree to have to enter the athletic training field is a bachelor's degree. However, that'll change within the next few years because according to the AT Strategic Alliance, which is a group of 4 organizations who help improve the future of athletic trainers, a master's degree or above has been attained by 70% of sports trainers, and many employers prefer a master's degree. To get your to become an AT, students have to successfully pass the BOC exam, which is the Board of Certification, and it's a part of the AT Strategic Alliance. And after finishing the athletic training education program that has received accreditation from the Council of Accreditation Athletic Training Education, the CATE, you're then eligible for national certification. As for attaining a certification, as stated previously, students must graduate with a bachelor's degree or master's degree from a professional education program as well as pass the Board of Certification. To be eligible for the BOC exam, students have to complete a program authorized by the CATE. Once a student passes, they have to continue to meet education requirements to remain certified. Athletic trainers also must work with physicians because the physicians of the patient have the final call. Going into my second strand, physical therapists help people of all ages with injuries and rehabilitation. PTs use movement, hands-on, or equipment to fix the injury, help with mobility, or increase a patient's overall well-being. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, physical therapists care for people of all ages who have functional problems resulting from back and neck injuries, sprains, strains, and fractures, arthritis, amputations, neurological disorders, such as a stroke, cerebral palsy, injuries related to work and sports, and other conditions. Basically, what it's saying is they just help people with more than just sports injuries. So to become a physical therapist, an individual must receive their DPT, which is their doctorate in physical therapy. And then from the CAPTE, after receiving your DPT, completing either a fellowship or residency programs, you can pick which one you want to go into. The CAPTE, which is the Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy Education, you also have to complete a state licensure test. And then to finally become a physical therapist, you must complete the NPTE, which is the National Physical Therapist exam. It's a 250 question, 5-section exam that has to be completed in 5 hours. And if you pass with a minimum score of 600, then you can start making decisions about where you want to work. So to compare the two, what set athletic training and physical therapy apart is the amount of schooling it takes to become either of the healthcare providers. So it takes a lot more schooling to be a physical therapist than it does to become an athletic trainer. The setting and the salary vary, or are different, and physical therapists make almost double of what athletic trainers make annually. According to the PT Progress, both PTs and ATs must complete a 4-year of undergraduate schooling, so a bachelor's degree. But PTs are required to complete the additional 3 years of PT school, which is your DPT. And while ATs are encouraged to complete a 2-year master's degree, so you don't have to get your master's to be an athletic trainer, but it's encouraged. Okay, so person A is a golfer with a back issue, and person B is just a normal guy with also a back issue and doesn't play golf. So say this golfer goes to an athletic trainer and is like, oh my gosh, can you help me? Obviously the problem is golf, and he just threw his back out. However, with person B and physical therapy, you wouldn't know like how to help this person, or you just have to have a lot of experience. Basically with person B, the origin of the issue could simply be his shoe, and the shoes that he wears that is bothering him. So that's kind of like the difference between athletic trainers and physical therapists. And in the fall, I plan to attend Texas State University studying health sciences. So, yeah. Thank you. Back of your
Oh, okay. So you just want yours for the notes?
Yeah.
I had to move the speaker to practice.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're still there, we can turn it on.
Oh, I see it's showing right there.
Yeah.
Do you want? Yeah, but do you want to see what's on this side? Okay.
It used to be true.
Oh yeah, I do that every time.
I know. We're trying to fix it.
Duplicate these. Yeah, now we're good. Alright, Becker, ready? Okay, good to go. Madison Becker, everyone.
So for my senior project, I decided to research the correspondence between mental and physical health. So to jump right in, I separated this into 6 different categories. Last year's project, my internship, Strand 1, which is scientific evidence behind this. Strand 2, which is physical and mental wellness. Strand 3, which is bettering our physical and mental health using the knowledge we've just learned. And Strand 6, or part 6, which is like my future plans. So last year's project, I interned with Cindy Koyama, who is a counselor at Ohio Intermediate School. And I learned a lot from this project, but I realized I wanted to go more in depth of medicine and discover the physical aspect of health. So I branched off and came up with something that still incorporates a little bit of last year's topic, which is mental health, and it adds more of a scientific medical background. And this allowed me to formulate my driving question, which is, how do mental and physical health correspond with each other, and how can we work on both in order to have a healthier lifestyle? So, my internship. So I contacted Robin Muto, who her and her husband, Dr. Muto, run Nye Cardiology. With her, I was able to shadow a physician assistant, which is like the career I'm interested in. I was able to shadow medical assistants, and I was able to watch them perform different non-invasive procedures and tests. And they ran EKGs. They installed a heart monitor on someone, which is something that's on for 2 weeks and it falls off eventually. But then you ship it back, and then they see it can be used to track sleep apnea and different cardiac diseases. And I was able to observe as they ran tests and diagnose different diseases. I was able to experience the lab portion of it, and I watched them do an ultrasound on my own heart, which was really cool because it was you got to see your own heart beating right next to you, and that's something you never see before. And so diving into my first strand, which is scientific evidence. 10%. That's how much of the brain we actually understand. And that's actually crazy because it surprised me a lot because of how much scientific advancements we've made and all the research we've done. The brain is still very unknown. So the correspondence between mental and physical health is a belief that's dated back to the Egyptians. And right now we can pinpoint this to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is the front of your brain. And this is basically responsible. It plays a prominent role in cognitive and emotional processing, decision-making, self-control, problem-solving, and this is a recent growth in neuroscience, and it helps us understand the biological factors between mental disorders like depression. So the first thing I want to talk about is the neurotransmitters. And mental health and physical health are commonly put into different categories. And being healthy is not just being physically well, it's having a good, strong mind and being able to process challenges. Many mental illnesses are accompanied by physical illnesses and vice versa. A lot of people who are physically ill struggle with depression and anxiety frequently because of physical ailments. And then many scientists believe that communication of the brain can cause mental illness, and people with depression are found to have lower levels of neurotransmitted serotonin. And to improve this, we can use selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, and they are used to lower serotonin that goes back into the presynaptic neuron. And this allows more serotonin to bind to the receptors. And other risk factors that cause mental illness could be genetics, abuse, and childhood experiences can result in anxiety and depression. And I'm going to talk more about the childhood experience. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACE, can lead to PTSD and aggressive behavior. Composing someone's childhood plays a significant role in how they develop and act as an adult, especially events that occur prenatally can severely affect a child's brain chemistry. So now moving on to my second strand, which is our physical and mental wellness. The first thing I want to talk about is resilience. Everyone is different. Everyone has faced challenges differently. We've heard this a million, thousand, trillion times. And sometimes people are more resilient than others and better equipped to handle and face challenges. Consider conflict and war. Many more resilient people have a better outcome and come back a little bit more well from the head, while some come back with post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is a disease triggered by a traumatic experience. And it first emerged in the Civil War, and it was first referred to as Dakota syndrome after American internist named Jacob Mendes Dakota. Although it's a mental illness, it has a lot of physical effects, which can include hallucinations, insomnia, elevated blood pressure, and heart rate. The next thing I want to talk about is somatic symptom disorder, and it's dated back 4,000 years, and it was known as non-disease. And people who are affected as this are also referred to as hypochondriacs, which is kind of an older term used. It's retired by now, and it's now referred to as somatic symptom disorder. And it's when a person places a great deal of emphasis on physical symptoms like pain, fatigue, shortness of breath, where it causes them to have great distress and difficulty functioning. And it is 10 times more likely to occur in women than men. And it affects about 5 to 7% of the general population. A more widespread example of this phenomenon is called mass hysteria, which is like when large groups of people have phantom symptoms. And it's caused by anxiety and fear, and it's really widespread and can affect many people. There's no physical cause of the symptoms, but it can still it's still very prominent. An example is in West Bengal in 2003, when two family members died, and a bunch of villagers and people started reporting having the same symptoms, which include jaundice, fatigue, nausea, and it was further investigation discovered that the family members have both died of fulminant hepatic encephalopathy, which is a liver disease, but the anxiety and fear triggered a response, and people were able to actually physically mimic symptoms, which is actually just. Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is stress and how it can affect us physically. And when you think of stress, you think of more of a mental and internal ailment, but it does cause a lot of physical damage. When we are stressed, our bodies become heightened, and it releases a hormone called cortisol, which is detrimental to us after a while. Cortisol causes digestive problems, difficulty sleeping, weakened immune system, and making a person more prone to viruses like the flu. Long-term issues from the constant vigilance and long-term symptoms are damaging, and they can cause high cholesterol, abnormal heart rhythms, and once they escalate, they can cause cardiovascular disease, strokes, and gastrointestinal problems. And here's a little. You have a greater chance of heart attack, greater chance of stroke, greater chance of high blood pressure. And originally, I was going to show an ultrasound of my heart and compare it to someone else's who has been through stress, but it was kind of hard. They warned me at my cardiologist, it would be very, very hard to transfer it from a CD to a computer, and I'm not very tech smart, so I kind of realized that. And it was also very hard to acquire another person's ultrasound. But from the research I've done, long-term stress can cause forceful contractions and inward narrowing of the heart, and they also can cause narrowing of the arteries, which affects blood flow. This leads me to my third strand, which is keeping up with our mental and physical well-being. And so 3 ways we can improve our mind and body is being able to regulate, which is crucial behavior is working out, because it can release feel-good endorphins. For example, my mom has always been working out, and she's always been really, really annoying about it. And she was doing it for my well-being, not her health. And then taking care of ourselves is also extremely important, like eating healthy, taking time for ourselves too. And then frequently seeing health professionals as needed. For example, they're there to monitor our physical health, visiting a doctor annually, and speaking to mental health professionals when necessary. And therapy often gets a bad rep, but therapists are educated and can listen to problems that arise, and they also teach beneficial coping mechanisms. And to answer my drowning question, mental health and physical health correspond with each other through many biological factors, as they both share the same neurological pathways. When our physical health is not doing so well, often can cause mental illness, and vice versa. It's crucial to take care of yourself and find time for it in your busy lives. So my future plans, I want to be a PA, so I'm going to Oregon State University and studying biohealth, and then I'm going to go do PA school. So.